From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening. Welcome to the broadcast. Our top story, emergency responders were notified of a deceased person in downtown Fairbanks just before noon today.
The lead investigator of the incident says that no foul play is suspected. Officer David Elzey says the body of 25-year-old Peter Lee James was found on a bench along the Chena River across from the Golden Heart Plaza. Next of kin has been notified. A family member was seen shouting and crying near the bench an hour after the body was retrieved by authorities. Elzey says it's likely that James died of hypothermia last night while trying to sleep on the bench. The exact cause of death will be determined by the state medical examiner's office in Anchorage.
At approximately 7:30 p.m. on Monday, a fire broke out that caused extensive damage to the interior of the Radio Fairbanks building located at 1010 College Road. When fire crews arrived, they found heavy smoke and heat. The fire originated in the electronics shop located on the first floor of the building and caused heavy smoke damage throughout the building and shop. Fire crews were on scene till well after midnight, working to ensure the fire was put out. To protect the community, contractors were on site boarding up the building to keep people from going inside. One man was in the building at the time of the fire and managed to escape uninjured, according to Assistant Chief Ernie Mesowitz from the Fairbanks Fire Department.
We didn't have any injuries. We did have a person that was asleep upstairs in one of the apartments. He became aware of the smoke in the building. When he tried to leave his apartment, he found there was smoke in the hallway and couldn't leave. And so he ended up climbing out a window, and right next to the balcony where his window's at is a antenna mast, and he was able to climb down the antenna mast, and so there were no injuries in this fire.
Two men charged with sex crimes were arraigned in front of Judge Michael McDonald today in Fairbanks Superior Court. 63-year-old Robert Ketzler pleaded not guilty on 2 counts of sexual assault and 1 count of indecent exposure. The alleged assault and exposure happened in August of 2015. Ketzler's next court date is scheduled for June. 26-year-old Ricky Enlow also pleaded not guilty to his 1 count of sex abuse to a minor. His alleged assault happened in September of 2015. And Enlow's next court date is scheduled for May 26th.
At 9:45 Monday night, state troopers stopped a pickup for speeding near mile 67 of the Parks Highway. Now, according to the report, the driver tried to pepper spray the officer, then sped off in the truck. Troopers say the man was driving recklessly at a high rate of speed. At one point, the female passenger took control of the vehicle while the male driver crawled into the bed of the truck and started throwing heavy tools and other items at the pursuing trooper vehicle. He reportedly then crawled back into the truck and resumed driving. Spike strips were used and the truck continued on for some distance on flat tires before going into a ditch. The driver and passenger were identified as 25-year-old Logan Austin and 23-year-old Sandra Austin of the Fairbanks area. Both were jailed without bail.
A North Pole man that fled from troopers and barricaded himself inside a garage was arraigned today in Fairbanks Superior Court. 24-year-old Damian Simon pleaded not guilty on the charges of involvement with a controlled substance, weapons violations, and failing to stop for law enforcement. Last Wednesday, the Alaska State Troopers went to a North Pole residence to serve Simon his warrant. According to reports, Simon fled the scene and barricaded himself in another home. It was several hours before Simon gave himself up and was taken into custody. His next court date is set for April 14th.
All right, so when we come back, it was exciting news yesterday when it was announced that the F-35s would be coming to Eielson, but also at the same time, we will be losing a good friend. Now we'll explain that part.
Also, in this week's health report, Monty Bowen tells us about the critical medical impact smoking has on your health and your life in general. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Following the announcement of 2 squadrons of F-35s coming to Eielson Air Force Base, we learned that Eielson's commander will be leaving Alaska. That's right, Colonel Michael Winkler, commander of the 354th Fighter Wing in Eielson Air Force Base, will be assigned to Japan following his nomination to Brigadier General. Winkler will be away from the hustle and bustle scheduled for Eielson in the coming years. The arrival of the F-35s will bring in over 2,700 people, create thousands of civilian jobs, and generate about $5 million of revenue in the interior over the next 4 years. Winkler says he is both excited for the opportunity in Japan and sad to miss the preparation phases in and around Eielson.
But I got to tell you, it's tearing at my heartstrings. to have to leave the interior of Alaska. This has by far been the best assignment that I've had. I tell everybody the support we get from the local community is bar none, top notch, better than anywhere I've ever seen in the world. So it's going to be sad for us to leave the interior. It's kind of sad to be walking away from all the exciting stuff that's going to be happening in the coming years for F-35, but make no mistake, I'll be back here in 2020 when we get that first aircraft arrival for the F-35s on Eielson.
The Alaska Mining Association's 26th Fairbanks Biennial Convention began yesterday and runs through April 9th at the Carlson Center. The convention is spread out over the course of this week with educational opportunities and short course lectures about the mining industry. The courses will focus on technical aspects and issues miners deal with. Today, volunteers were setting up vendor booths and equipment for the next 3 days, which will be all about the industry. People can come and see the equipment that's used in mines across Alaska or talk to folks who work in the business. A number of different presentations on current mining issues will be held throughout the convention.
We're looking at how mining can be part of Alaska's future and how the nation's future moves forward. And it's important to be here where a great deal of the state's mining activity happens to talk about how mining can continue to be the great healthy industry it is and how to make sure it stays that way in the future. And I think that's what everyone that comes here is excited to learn about or be part of that discussion.
More than 6 million people die worldwide each year from smoking-related illness. And according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, tobacco use costs the U.S. billions of dollars each year in medical expenses and lost productivity. Monty Bowen talks about quitting in this week's Health Report.
Doctors say it is never too late to quit smoking, as there are both immediate and long-term benefits that start within just minutes of quitting.
Within 20 minutes, your blood pressure will come down to normal, your pulse rate will come down to normal. Within about 12 hours, carbon monoxide, which is a byproduct of smoking, will leave your body.
Once you quit smoking, your risk for cardiovascular disease begins to drop just after a few days. After 20 years of going smoke-free, former smokers can reduce their risk of developing lung cancer to the same as a non-smoker. And smoking not only increases a person's risk for lung disease, but also heart problems, gastrointestinal problems, and more than a dozen types of other cancers. Doctors say because smoking is an addiction, it can be tough to kick the habit, but with proper planning and a good support system, it can be done.
The first step in quitting smoking is deciding to quit and getting support. So this means that you are going to set a date and you're going to share that with your friends, your family, and get the support.
The benefits of quitting smoking far outweigh the trouble you may have doing it. They say just because you failed at quitting once, it does not mean that you won't succeed on the next try. This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The Health Report is brought to you by the Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic, located in the Medical Dental Arts Building, and by Interior Women's Health, located on 1626 30th Avenue.
Joe Cook is up next with sports and has some news about a new team joining the NAHL.
All right. Also, if you didn't see it by now, don't worry. You'll see the shot of the year again after this break.
Welcome back Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here with your local Tuesday Sportscast. While the Ice Dogs completed the best regular season in the 40-year history of the NAHL and have all the momentum heading into the playoffs, the league will be adding another franchise next year. Now, this past Friday, the NAHL announced that the Northeast Generals will join the East Division next season. The Generals move up from the Tier 3 NA3 EHL. With the Generals, the East goes from 4 to 5 teams and gives the league 23 total teams. The East will still be the smallest division, as the South, Midwest, and Central all have 6 teams. Brian Erickson will be their head coach and GM. The Generals are based in North Attleboro, Massachusetts, which is a Boston suburb. They will play in the New England Sports Village, a $53 million facility. Speaking of the NAHL, how good were the Ice Dogs this season when we're talking about the NAHL leaders? As you know, they finished with a 49-8-3 record and set a new NAHL mark with 101 points. They also led the league in scoring with 251 goals, 468 assists, 719 points. They score 4.18 goals a game and allow just 1.9 of the top 5 scorers in the league. 4 of them are Ice Dogs: Todd Burgess, Reiner Gorowski, Logan Coombs, and Tyler Tomberlin. Fairbanks has the best special teams as well. They convert 24% of their power play opportunities and have the best penalty kill, coming in at just under 90%. Their winning streak of 11 games from February 6th to March 12th was a season best for any team. The Ice Dogs have this week off before the playoffs start. Some Midwest Division teams still have some games left, so their opponent hasn't been determined yet. They will host on April 15th. Some Alaska hockey programs represented the 49th state and national hockey tournaments. On Monday in Burlington, Vermont, the Alaska All-Stars U16 squad lost 2-1 to the East Coast Wizards in the Toyota USA Hockey Girls 16U Tier 2 national title game. Lathrop goalie and tennis player Amelia Helms-Leslie had 40 saves for the Alaska All-Stars, which was a tourney high for her. And Sunday in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Alaska Grizzlies of Fairbanks, they placed 3rd overall after falling their national semifinal of the Tier 2 14U tournament to the Wonderland Wizards 3-1. Silas Hughes scored for the Grizzlies in the loss. And last night, number 2 Villanova and number 1 North Carolina, they met for the men's basketball NCAA National Championship in Houston, Texas. It was a certified classic. We'll be talking about this one for a long time. In a crazy college basketball season, and arguably the best and most entertaining NCAA tournament ever, the finish in last night's championship game was truly fitting and incredible. In case you missed it, Willie Geist of NBC News has this report.
What a game. Villanova looked like it had the game in hand until a late North Carolina surge.
Carolina fights for it and gets the putback.
Capped by this impossible double-clutch three-pointer by Marcus Page, tying the game with less than 5 seconds to play.
Now it's Page off balance, puts it impossible.
Villanova called timeout to set up one last shot.
3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship.
On a play Villanova practices every day, Chris Jenkins hitting the game winner at the buzzer, etching his name in the sports history books and setting off a wild celebration.
The national champions!
Students at Villanova's campus watch party erupting as the Wildcats win the school's first NCAA championship since their famous upset of Georgetown in 1985.
Did you know when it left your hand that it was good?
I think every shot's going in, so that one was no different.
And the reactions were just as good as that shot, with all the videos, pictures, and of course those crying Michael Jordan face memes on all over social media. So with Villanova winning the national title, who wins the KTVF College Hoops Challenge title? Now, if you remember, 3 of the top 5 picked UNC to win it, including me. But the grand prize winner for the 2016 KTVF College Hoops Challenge is John. Congratulations, John. You won a Honda trimmer from Outpost, Alaska, and 2 large pieces from Pizza Hut. John did pick Villanova to win the national title. How about that? And he edged out the top spot with 10,900 points. And as we look at the final standings, John is the winner with the Nova pick, then Terry, Tom, Bill, and Todd. I finished in the top 10 at the 8th spot. Congrats again to John, and that caps a crazy season of men's college hoops. And that's it for sports tonight. Thanks for watching. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.
The weather, and it was a beautiful day across the interior, and right off the bat, we'll tell you right now, at the Nenana Ice Classic, the thickness is 36 inches thick. Now, compared to last year at the same time, it was 33.5 inches thick. So not as thick as it was last year, or actually thicker last year than it was this time of year. Let me try that again. It's thicker this year than it was last year. So you have until midnight tonight to get your guesses in. But right now, with all the warm temperatures, it could go pretty soon, I think. All right, we'll talk more about that just a little bit. As far as what we're going to talk about tonight, well, let's look at a nice evening with auroras possible, because we have a little bit higher intensity going on in the sun right now. And as far as tomorrow, well, after morning clouds, the sky should clear out tomorrow, and we're looking for another nice day around 48 degrees, and still looking for 50s by this Sunday. So great forecast in store. numbers look like this. Today's high, 49, currently 49 degrees. The overnight low last night, 28. The record high, 60. Wow, in 1916. And the overnight record low was 27 below in 1927. Our sunrise and sunset works out to 14 hours and 8 minutes. That's a gain of 7 minutes from yesterday. On the satellite and radar, you can see a lot less cloud cover than there was yesterday. Area low pressure sitting down in the Gulf of Alaska, spinning around, but it's so far south, it's just not able to push any of that moisture up our direction. That's why we're getting very nice weather. A few high clouds, and that's about it. What else is going on across the state? Well, over southeast Alaska, they're raining once again from Ketchikan all the way up to Juneau with temperature of 47 degrees at both areas there. Around the Anchorage Bowl, just a few clouds, 50 degrees, nice day. And showers still hanging around the Kodiak region, 43 there. Cold Bay, 41 degrees and cloudy skies. Up and down the west coast, looking at 25 degrees, chilly in Nome, but in contrast, 43 degrees at Bethel. And across the North Slope, Barrow sitting at 8 degrees for their high today, while Fort Yukon had a high of 27 degrees. Lower 48 weather, again, you're looking at quite a bit of showers moving across the Pacific Northwest, and then also looking at rain and thunderstorms moving across the Central Plains. And other than that, we have nice weather over the East Coast. And as far as what's going to be happening, this cold pocket we're looking at last night is going to continue dropping down, bringing very cold air into the eastern half of the country still, and giving them a possibility of snow shower activity, while the rest of the country looks like it's going to be warming up very nicely. This high pressure ridge really well defined there. Okay, time for kids weather. And all this week we're talking with the kids from Barnett Magnet School. Tonight, here's a young lady with a sketch she did on something that was outside her window at class.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm in Miss Cassidy's Nature Journal class at Barnett Magnet School. And I drew this sketch from yesterday. There was a duck outside the school and the little pond that formed in front of the school. And so I drew it, and it's raining, and so yeah, and then there's slush around it.
And very nice sketch there, and a very good opportunity to see some interesting things outside the classroom too. Again, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. Tomorrow night, we'll have a young man here with a unique weather question. All right, speaking of weather, here's our forecast for the northern sections for Alaska tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies at Barrow, 4 degrees for their high. Cloudy skies in Nome, and cloudy skies with a few snow showers for Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at cloudy skies early, then clearing, and Fairbanks and Healy will be looking at those conditions with cloudy skies in Delta Junction. And the southeast, once again, more rain in the forecast there in Juneau, and rain will be developing by afternoon at Ketchikan. While over to the southwest part of the state, we'll be looking at cloudy skies at Cold Bay, scattered rain showers for Bethel, and also at Kodiak. And if you're heading down to the Anchorage Bowl, looks like cloudy skies in Anchorage, rain showers at Homer, and snow and rain likely for Valdez, so kind of a wet pattern there. Our forecast for tonight looks pretty good. As I said earlier, looking at just continued cool conditions with just scattered clouds overnight, 24 degrees, maybe a possibility of some auroras. Tomorrow's forecast, cloudy early, becoming partly cloudy by late around in the afternoon, and again a temperature right around 48 degrees. And the forecast for the 5-day period, very nice temperatures there. As you see, we're looking at mid-40s, upper 40s, even 50 degrees by the end of the 5-day period there. Overnight lows will once again be very comfortable in the mid-20s, not the low 20s, but the mid-20s. And our photograph for tonight, this one's sent in by Katrina Smith. She lives up on Chena Ridge, was able to capture this beautiful sunrise. As always, if you have a photograph to share, send it to photos@ktvf11.com.
All right, warmer temperatures. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Well, most of the snow's gone anyway, but.
It is just about all gone, yeah.
Yeah, and then we get ready for spring sports. And this year, I mean, track's going to be right on target.
Yeah, pretty much end of the month. The first track meet. Actually, we'll be talking about that tomorrow a little bit.
So look at that. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Well, tonight at NBC Nightly News, of course, the big news for the day, the election going on in Wisconsin. That's up next with Lester Holt.
We'll be back at 11 with updates on the latest news, sports, and weather. Be sure to join us then.
From all of us here at the News Center, have a cheerful night.
Very cheerful. Yes.